Welcome back, Panther fans. I'm David Brown here with Ryan Graham,
Hey, y'all.
Tim Thurber,
Hello?
and this is State of Atlanta.
Ooh, good can openings.
I may need to save that one. That was a solid open right there. That was good.
Guinness
That was
Guinness
good.
is always a nice one because it's got that extra little pop and hiss.
Yes, it's that love you need. It just kind of it lingers a little bit. You're like, you're not a one pop shot. You just hang in there for a little bit, make it matter,
Guinness will,
make it
will
make it
always
mean
be there
something.
for me. Always be there for me
It's nice
whenever
and
I need it.
It's nice and
Yeah.
heady too. It's always there for you, you know.
'Cause they got that-
always giving you head.
They have that 10,000-year lease, so they're not going anywhere. So.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
All right. There's actually a lot of stuff going on right now at Georgia State, and at least to talk about. And I want to get into the absolute shit show that was the spring game on Friday. We all complained the moment they announced when the spring game was going to be on a Friday at 3:00 in downtown Atlanta. We were like, "This is just a horrible idea. You got to really do something to make it worth people's time." I'm gonna go, but before I even ask a question, I'm going to go out and say they did absolutely nothing for anybody who showed up, and very few did, that drove in from OTP or just hell, like, I don't know, like Buckhead, to be an experience. They were like, man, I am so glad that I took off a little early to sit in some little traffic on the way down and even more traffic on the way out to be there. That was garbage. Don't Ryan, you said it from the very beginning. Just give the practice back to the head coach and let's not do a spring game. Tim, you
Like
didn't get to make it
if you don't
there,
care, this
and
is a marketing. Yeah. Go ahead, sorry.
you did not miss a thing. You made the right decision. You did, because if you didn't talk to anybody else and you just saw whatever kind of recaps or posts or whatever, you'd be like, oh man, sounds like a good game. That was great. I wish I would have made it. Maybe next year I'll make it. But knowing people that went there, you saved yourself a lot of time and a lot of headache. Granted, you would have been able to hang out with Ryan and me, which is worth it in and of itself. But what Georgia State put out there, no reason to ever have a spring game ever again. Ryan, what were your
That
thoughts?
sounds sad. Wait. That sounds really sad. Two, I was actually a little bit jealous of the thing you did before that and the margaritas you probably consumed after that.
No margaritas,
Yeah, I mean,
but several tecates.
to be fair, we got
Tecates, okay.
we hung out for a little bit, and then not too long after practice started, we basically were like, you know what? I think it was as soon as my wife went to the bathroom, came back out, and said the water's not on in the bathrooms.
My shit's floating in the toilet.
No, there was no water.
Ladies don't shit, dude. That
Yeah.
doesn't happen.
Yeah,
I
girls
didn't
don't
know
poop.
that.
And now you know. So I went and I checked out. So she went to like the far end, and I was like, oh, maybe they just didn't open it over there or whatever. So I went
Right.
to the men's bathroom that was like on the furthest side on that where we were, and it was off there too. They did have water on in the bathrooms at the front of the park where people were walking in, but most people were continuing past that and then going to, underneath the mezzanine area, like along the long side, and being underneath something because it was hot. It was pretty hot. So, that's where most people were, and the bathrooms weren't working, and there were there's no concessions over there either. The concessions were all at the very front too.
Selling concessions. They had a Dippin' Dot station. They had that Country Time lemonade, frozen lemonade station. That was all there was there to purchase. There
There's a
was
food
the
truck.
wing. Oh yeah, there was a food truck with a very long line, and I could not. This is not me trying to be insensitive. The only word I could read on the truck was tacos, which means they were probably fantastic.
Probably
I bet they
really
were
good.
great.
Yeah.
I couldn't pronounce any other word, but the line was huge, hugely long for that. There was the Wingstop promotion, which no one knew where that was going to be. They knew a roundabout area, and then it just all of a sudden started, line packed immediately because there was no other real food option besides the food truck. And there was some kind of like, I guess, private event going on, like right as you would have walked into some of the seats, so you couldn't even get to seats that way. No idea what that was for. That was it for concessions. And obviously, I'm going to bit.
Sorry, there were two private events happening, and I don't even know what were just required to get into them. And like, it was like a really awkward experience. The first one because we walked up to him after the press conference, and it just looked like people, the typical buffet setting up Panther dining stuff, and so we walked up and just said, "Hey, is this like something for a certain like level of donation, or like what is this?" And they're like, "Oh, it's only for whatever." And they kind of got weird, like we were going to be upset about it. And I'm like, "I'm not upset. Just put up a sign or something. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know where I'm welcome, because one of my big complaints about how these events are run is there's all these weird little things happening everywhere that you're invited to, you're not invited to, and you get in trouble if you're there and you're not invited. And so I'd like, it makes me nervous to go ask even. So like, there's all these weird little things, and it's like, why not just make an open event? Like you had all this food sitting there, but no one was allowed to have it.
yeah. Well, we had another friend of ours was there, and it was the same situation as us. And this was coming out of the basketball presser thing, so still about an hour before the spring game was to get underway. But it was there is what Ryan's talking about, and we talked to him later, and he said he walked up himself. Same thing. He's like, I don't. Is this part of something that I'm included in, or just something different? And he just walked up, genuinely interested, and someone saw him that worked at that. I was like, oh yeah, you can come on in. And then somebody else at athletics said, no, what are you doing here? You're not allowed to be here. So he's like, he was very, very like, big on like, I'm not trying to crash anything. I did not know what this was. I asked, I was told I could come in, and now I'm being ushered out of the area. It was just an absolute shit show is the best explanation for what was going on. And as I was saying, you know, my wife gets mad at me all the time because I think there has to be beer and alcohol at every event. And I told her before, and I've told her, I said people there on Friday, I don't need alcohol to have a good time, but I also don't need it to have a bad time. And I had a bad time on Friday. We left, and it wasn't because there was no alcohol.
Yeah.
There was nothing
It's
about
because there was
that
no
event.
water.
There was no water. I mean, I was about to make some in that bathroom because I had a few beer before we walked in there. But I said it, I think I posted on the group chat while we were there. It looks like they were just having a practice, and some fans just showed up. There was barely anyone there. Barely anyone there at all.
Yeah.
But it
Just give them their
didn't look
practice
like
back. You're not going
it
to
didn't
market
look
it.
it did not look like they prepared or they really expected anybody to be there or they wanted anybody to be there. It was an absolute garbage trash can shithole. It was New Orleans.
Oh,
I
whoa.
was gonna say though, you mentioned like the employees, somebody saying, "Oh yeah, hey, you can come on in," and then somebody else ushering them out. That's another very common thread. It feels like throughout, I guess, this administration, is that the employees aren't really communicated to either. So like they don't really know what's going on. They're guessing too. They're like, "Oh yeah, you can be here," and then like 10 minutes later, like you can't be here. Like that happens. That's happened to us
David,
multiple
sound
times now.
familiar?
Yeah,
Right, that's
exactly.
happened to us now multiple times, and it's like, you know what? Like, of all the people who should know what's going on, like your direct reports maybe should.
Right.
Ryan walked up to some people that we've known for a couple of years that work for athletics or intern for athletics, and one of Ryan's things that he wanted to do was renew his season tickets. He received the phone calls. He was busy when the calls came in. He
They
didn't want
called you?
and
I got
so
called like
he
3 or 4 times for real.
Wow.
I just
and
don't
sorry,
call back.
they didn't have the system in place to be able to renew his tickets there. So he's like, okay, that's cool. I'll figure it out later. Do you know if they'll be opening up any concession booths to have food or beer or anything else? Like we don't know. They didn't know what was going on.
Yeah,
There was
I had no idea.
they had no idea. It was absolutely ridiculous.
And to be fair, they were, I think they were specifically set up there to sign people up for season tickets, but they were only equipped
That's a
to
good
do it
idea.
for people who didn't already have them and weren't renewing them. So like I said, oh no. They were like, oh well, you can pick out your seats, and I'm like, well, I have seats. I just need to pay for them. And they were like, oh well, we don't have access to that here. And I'm like, well, is it not the internet? Like, what do you mean you don't have access to that here? What are you talking about? I don't even know what that means.
They're literally downstairs from where their offices are that they do this every single day. They are where they sit and answer these phone calls every day to do ticketing.
That building,
They could probably
right?
look out that window and see the spot they were standing in at that point.
Well, last year, someone in development, this same thing happened basically, and the development rep,
Uh-oh.
who was helping me out,
I don't know about you, Tim, but
basically
Ryan
did
froze up
that.
on
He
me.
walked me to his
He's back.
office. The development rep walked me to his office, and we did it in his office. So I was like, all right,
Ooh, nice bonus.
yeah,
Well, that's
yeah,
good. You got personalized service.
yeah. He let me
So
talk.
yeah, so it was just another.
I mean, that's the right thing to do. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah. For the straight boy, you know.
We talk about welcome to GSU stuff all the time, and this literally was just the icing on the cake, the rotten cherry on top of just epitomizing what's been going wrong in this athletics administration for the past several years.
I do have two more things. One of them is
Go
actually
for it.
positive, but it has nothing
Let's
to
hit
do with
it.
the athletic department.
Let's hit it.
So when we were sort of trying to figure out if there was any food or beer around, we walked into the bookstore area, and that place there was like maybe like 5 or 6 stands in that giant area that had anything on it, and they were like the old black and blue jerseys that they've had since Trent Miles was here, and some pink shirts, and it was very sparse, and there was like just nothing done to even hide the fact that you're in a big empty room, just a giant empty room. And then they put the clothes on one half and then the registers on the other half, and it was like, why are you doing that? Like no one, they're like half a mile away. So, and I'm being sarcastic, but really far away. So I mean, that was just like also just run down. And if you were a new fan showing up, like that's the experience. That's going to be pretty
Yeah, have
rocky.
you ever been to like a Kmart that's closing down?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that
Kmart specifically. You're right.
that place looks more packed than what the merchandise area was at Center Park Stadium at the spring game. I've seen pictures of like 1980s communist Russia grocery stores that had more on the shelves in the same space that Georgia State had in their merchandise booth at the spring game on Friday. It was there was no, I brought it up to Ryan. I'm like, do you guys want to go? I'm ready to leave. Like, there was no reason to be there. There was
The game? The play on the field. I want you guys to break down QB, running back, wide receiver, kicking, and defense. Go.
The good news is, well, for me, I should say, because I didn't watch, but they did a draft. So it wasn't like first team versus second team. They had like team captains and they did a draft. So it was a mix, yeah. And they did warn us that I think the defensive line is quite shallow. And so like one team was going to be way better than the other team. They already sort of knew it, and like he sort of let us know during the press conference that was what was going to happen. But the thing is it's a practice. It's a marketing event first and foremost. It's a time for fans to like show up, see each other again. We haven't seen each other for a long time. Reconnect with the program in a big lull for football only fans, and I mean, so to me, I'm like, the game, the practice doesn't really tell you a whole lot, and it's not really all that interesting to tell you the truth. So, like,
Well, we did have so it was blue versus white, and there was the draft on the blue team, which won on
Nice.
I think on a last second interception of the white team. But Cam Brown was the lone quarterback for the blue team. I read this. I didn't see it obviously, but Cam did play for the blue team the entire time. I think just going ahead and just letting us know that he's going to probably be QB going into the season, at least the first couple of weeks, which obviously we're all fans. I think we're all fans of.
I'm a fan.
Yeah, that is the best part about having him, is that we know who our quarterback is now.
Exactly.
And we actually have a quarterback like that we're sure of.
And we know he's serviceable, like he's not gonna go out there and like knock your socks off, but he's gonna score points, and he's probably gonna score enough points to win some games.
And I think that given the start and being able to play the first several games just gets in that momentum going. It was weird last season when we were just doing this smorgasbord of dual quarterback, this one, that one, who's going to be there. You give a quarterback, Cam or anybody else, you give them the reins and be like, this is your team, start the season. They're going to get comfortable. They're going to start playing better. And I think, as good as we saw Cam play last year, you let him start the season, I think we'll just get just as good, if not better, for an entire season. So that part felt good. I like that.
And if you want a full rundown of the results, go to Thursday night. Sorry guys, it's not really our bread and butter.
Yeah, he was sober from the beginning, so he knows what's going on.
Did he use the bathroom?
Tim or Ryan. Sorry, which one? You got some? Whatever. Whoever.
Yeah, I had the
I
What's your
positive thing. There was
positive?
actually
Yeah.
2 positive things. No, we went out. We went out during the press conference or after the press conference, and we tailgated for a little while. And there was a pretty loud student tailgate. And it was just one, but they were out there. I don't know if they ever came in. I wouldn't have if I was them. They looked like they were having a ball out there in the.
I saw some of the
bricks.
co-eds, and if those co-eds went in, I would have gone in. If the co-eds did not go in, I would have not gone in.
Yeah,
And I'm trying to say that as least creepy old man way as possible.
that's
So-
fine. We know who you are.
No, I saw those guys when I showed up to the press conference. I was walking into the because Ryan, you can have the positives. I'll just talk about all the negatives. So when I got there, they didn't really explain parking. If they did explain parking, I didn't read it. That's my fault. I don't know. I get there. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to pull up like I do normally, see if we can park on the bricks. Nope, that's all cut off. I lapped around the stadium, come back up. Obviously, green lot is closed completely because of the baseball field being built. I go up.
Yeah, true.
I go to blue lot, and they had the carnival going on. So I pulled in, but there's signs saying this is all closed for blue for the carnival. So then I went and go into the box parking deck, and I'm like, I'll just go here and I'll walk. And I get about halfway up the parking deck, just hoping that if I got to the top, there'd be somebody else at the
With a
rooftop
beer.
tailgating or whatever.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? This is ridiculous. I don't want to walk all the way from the deck
box deck.
to the stadium, do the press conference, go back to the top of the deck, drink a beer, whatever. I was like, I'll just go park at the retail lot at Summerhill, which I did. And there was like nobody there, park there. I come in, I walk through the bricks. I see 2 kids and 2 tents, 2 cornhole boards, and they're ready to tailgate.
Love it.
And I'm like, that's awesome.
Nice.
Go in, do the press conference, connect with Ryan and his wife, and come back out. And like Ryan said, they had a legit tailgate going. It was,
Mhm.
I mean, they didn't have
A
they
good
didn't have
crew.
a grilled, they didn't have a grill doing burgers or anything, but they had tables to do like flip cup and that weird
They had some
drinking game they're doing. They had cornhole boards. They had music playing. It was legit. But Ryan had found his way to actually get through the cones on Georgia Avenue, park on the bricks. So we were able to slightly tailgate with them. Just I don't know,
Well,
50 meters away.
I took the turn, and the cop who was blocking the street was moving the cones away, and I had rolled down my window and sort of pulled up so that I could
I'm athletics.
talk, so I could talk to her, so I could say, "Hey, am I in the right place?" And she acted like I was freaking out or something. She's like, "You can't," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm here for the press conference.
I'm here for the
Is
event. I'm the coach.
parking in there." She goes, "Well, I just learned that you can do that, so like, it's okay, but just like I just learned." I'm like, "Okay, I don't know why we're amped up right now. Like I don't know what we're doing, but like I'm glad we're doing it, I guess, because I'm gonna get in." But yeah, but it was like
she woke up, had her Monster Energy drink that morning, and she was just ready to go. She's ready to take on the world.
It's again the people responsible for crowd control and the things that they're supposed to be doing don't know what the plan is. They don't know people are going to be there and parking in that lot. And it's like, why didn't you tell them that there's going to be people coming?
It seemed like they had scheduled security and the road closure before they knew they were going to be doing the basketball press conference on the same day. So the roads were closed off as if they would have been for any other type of a game day experience.
Right.
And then,
It's been like a week, hasn't it?
we also are expecting people to show up to this press conference thing. So, whatever.
Yeah. My other final thing was the band was there, and
Of course.
they were having fun
That's good.
as they normally do, and
Salute to the band.
they were
Band's always
more
awesome.
than half the crowd. So
Consistently the best thing we've put into any football stadium is the Georgia State marching band. There's no doubt about that.
Yep.
Yeah. So
That's it.
you mentioned Ryan.
Well,
you mentioned.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Tim. Ask questions.
No, I
you
was
should
just
ask questions. You should ask
I
questions.
want
Sorry.
to ask questions. So, I mean, like, if they had concessions and running water, would you be okay with it?
If they did the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No beer, just concessions and water.
I would have been frustrated over the beer, but yeah, if there was working bathrooms like in all areas where people were permitted, and they had a place where you could get a hot dog or a nacho or
Just
something
normal
like that. Yeah,
nachos,
yeah.
popcorn,
I would have come here and I would have complained about not doing everything it needed to do, and it being what you would expect from a Friday 3 p.m. spring game, but I would not be as livid as I am right now.
Well,
It did not seem welcoming.
they talk about these things like losing money, how they lose money on all these different
Loss
events and
leader,
things.
sure.
And I'm like, whatever, man. Like I showed up prepared to spend like $8 on a PBR if that's all they had. You know what I mean? So whatever, man.
It's
Like
a little
your
high for a
margins,
PBR.
but I would have done it, whatever. Like but your margins are great here,
They're
Like the thing
fine.
is sell beer. That's how you make money off the event, dude. Concessions is how you make the money on the free event. Like
Right.
that's how you cut your losses. So why didn't you do that? Instead, you paid a food truck and let them profit. You probably paid them to be there. So
Yeah, so they say that they lose money on these types of events, these fan only events. They lose money. Yet we also brag about how Georgia State's one of the only teams in conference that's in the black. They have zero facility debt. They don't lose money on the programs. All right. So why do we have the shittiest fan experience? Come on, get something going on.
to answer your question though, Tim, the water thing was the line for me. I said, like, to me, I'm like, you didn't even do the very
check.
minimum. And like, I walked into that men's bathroom to check it there. And I mean, the smell in there from it just being like,
No
I'm sure
water.
there's like sitting water somewhere in the pipes or something. And it just smelled like sitting rancid water. Like it just, nobody
To be
even
fair,
bothered.
I'm
to be fair,
I'm pretty sure it had that same smell back when the Braves were there. I remember those bathrooms not being.
those are terrible bathrooms.
Are
in
those the ones
general.
underneath the stands in the outfield?
It's the second level, the 200 level, the top. Because like it's weird that the 100 and 200 are still like the same lower level.
Right.
So it's that higher level 200. You have to take the escalator up before the escalator to go to club. It was that section over there where everything was. I remember it was weird because I remember Turner Field was like this awesome stadium, but still had bathrooms from like the 70s or 60s or something,
Those
right?
bathrooms were so terrible.
They still have
They've
the
always been.
still
I've
are.
never seen those bathrooms okay, but they've always had water.
They had the balconies off the bathroom for the
Smoke.
smoking section.
I love that.
Oh yeah, they still
Gosh,
have it upstairs. Upstairs, they
in the
still
club, they
still
still
do it
have it,
because
yeah.
I'll still go out there just to get like some fresh air,
Right.
not on the
Yeah.
inside, and just see the highway and all that stuff. It's a neat little view.
There's a marketing opportunity. Can we get, I'm not going to promote smoking cigarettes at all, but it's Atlanta, it's 2026, things have changed. Can we actually get like one of the vape companies or CBD companies to promote smoking, promote the smoking on the bathroom balconies as like a place where you can go vape or do your weed or whatever you want to do. It's not
Do
my
your
bag.
weed.
See, so my terminology already shows how much this is not my thing, but I'm just looking for a marketing opportunity here.
If you kids want to smoke a doobie, you can do it on the porch.
I mean, okay, I'm not surprised by anything you guys are saying. Like, not at all. Like, it's par for the course, although it sounds like we were somehow worse than any other year for a spring game ever. The way you're describing it, which is sad.
And we had it at that shitty soccer field for a few years, and I loved that. I loved that actually.
When we were at Panthersville on the soccer field after like a torrential downpour in an area which I later found out is floodplains, and you had to like really watch your step because like one step in the wrong spot, you were losing a
you were
leg.
in it.
Yeah, it was like every 80s kids movie with quicksand. You were just gone. Like Artek and you are in the swamp of sorrow or whatever it was called, and it was horrible. But I had so much fun at that event because we were sitting outside. We had some tailgate chairs. We did our thing. Some people were in the little bleachers or whatever, but you were right on the field. You were right there next to all the players. That was a great spring game experience. When Bill Curry was mic'd up at the practice facility, when he was like talking to everybody, explaining what they were doing.
Yeah.
That was great. Hell, I'll even say when we were at Grady High School and we were playing a practice game over there right off Piedmont Park, that was a great experience.
Well, yeah, great. I totally forgot about that.
That was a great experience.
Yeah.
But no, playing in our home stadium, they gave me the most miserable Georgia State experience I've ever had.
And the funny thing is, like, spring games in general are going away, right? Like, I think even Georgia was considering canceling theirs. They weren't just
I
gonna.
think
They're just not gonna do it.
I think Tech did cancel theirs.
No, they had it. They had theirs.
They did
Well,
have theirs. I
Yeah,
thought
they
they
did.
were.
They ended up
canceling
doing it. I think
UGA
next year they're gonna see it. You're gonna see more cancellations.
UGA doesn't need to market their program. You know, they're already like national news for just having their seasons that they've been having. And they're not making a ton of money off of, again, like the concessions and all that stuff. So, like, there's not a lot of reason
but
to
even
take that
Georgia-
extra practice away.
I think it was Kirby Smart's first season at Georgia, like he made a huge push is he wanted to have a sellout stadium for the spring game.
I remember that.
And they did. They
Mhm.
did. What is it? 70, 80,000? I have no idea what the capacity is of Sanford Stadium, but whatever it was, they had a sellout for the spring game.
They sure as hell claimed it.
And we can't get bathrooms that have water running in them. And it wasn't. And so Brian's wife, she was saying, it was like it wasn't like it didn't flush. There was no water in the sinks as well. You couldn't wash your hands.
Yeah. Downstairs you could.
Beer
Downstairs
delivery.
you could. There you go.
Nice.
I guess I'm drinking fast tonight.
I was earlier.
Because I think we've been doing all the talking.
You have
so.
been. I mean, it's sad. Like, I will say it's sad. Like, I really wanted to be there, but work is annoying and it's Friday and I have a meeting I lead and I can't just tell my customer F off. I want to go to
a
the spring
diehard
game.
fan like you couldn't make it, you know? Like that's more telling about when they scheduled it and how they scheduled it than it is you.
Saturday would have been so much better. Even start the whole thing at 11. I don't care. Like, it would be easier to get there.
For an actual real college football game, you start a game at 11, I'm going to bitch and moan. But if you do a spring game at 11 a.m., hell, you do a spring game at 10 a.m. on a Saturday, this kind of weather we have right now, that's
Beautiful.
50 degrees out at 10 a.m. I'm like, yeah, this is what football weather feels like. By the time the spring game's over, you know, it's 60, 70 degrees. This is a great day. My day's not ruined.
And 3 o'clock was the hottest part of the day. It was 88 degrees.
Oof.
It was really hot. I mean, they were talking
Brutal.
about how they were having to prep the team to make sure that they were like prepared to be in that heat doing their
Ready
practice,
for this hot practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else you got, Tim? What else can we
Spring
bitch
game
and moan about?
questions. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of spring games. I think they're just a reason to get together and drink beers. You know, without just saying like let's drink beers, because it's like let's go to the spring game and drink beer.
Yeah. You always, not that you need an excuse, but it's always nice to have one.
It's nice to have a secondary focus. How about that?
It's Tuesday at 9.
I'm not gonna say which one's the secondary, but it's a secondary focus. So yeah, Tuesdays at 9. Drink beer and have a podcast.
Good time to drink. Yeah.
So
that's it, really. I mean,
Oh, go ahead.
one thing about the spring game so we're going to talk about the basketball presser and everything, but before the basketball presser, Del McGee came out and spoke. He comes out and he's like, I don't know why I'm here, but I guess I know why I'm here. So he talked a little bit about what to expect from the football team and, encourage people to come out to the spring game and all that kind of stuff. It was great. It's good to hear him speak. He definitely doesn't have like he doesn't control a room like Coach Elliott could have as well in the past or whatever. But
you could say he's nonchalant about it.
It's good. He doesn't need to.
He's just like, I'm here.
He clearly can turn it on when he needs to. He just doesn't feel like he needs to for press conferences. Not for us. For the first players, it feels like he must because they love him.
One of the things I wanted to say about what he said about leading into the spring game was they had a luncheon, I guess it was yesterday on this Monday, with the entire team together. And so they had their blue team and their white team. Whichever team won was going to get steak and shrimp and whatever Panther Dining could put together for them. And whichever team lost was getting beanie weenies. And I love me a good beanie weenie. I made that for myself as an adult many a time, even when my kids hate it. But I don't know how good.
Is that the beans with the hot dogs chopped up in it, or is that just a hot dog with beans on it?
No, it's
chopped up hot dogs and
pork and beans with
good.
Chopped up hot dogs in it.
I wouldn't eat that shit.
It's so good.
Yeah, but you have weird things. You don't like mustard or pickles. I don't even know how we're friends.
I don't like beans.
That's true too. So like chili, most chilies.
That's the big one here.
Out the window.
Yeah,
I guess in this one, that is the big case. But
I love me a hot dog though.
Hot dogs.
I'm
are
also
great.
wondering what kind of steak and shrimp Panther Dining puts together.
He said steak and shrimp, and I was like, oh, yum. And then he said Panther Dining, and I was like, I thought you said this was going to be nice.
Grade
So if you were-
C sirloin. I don't know.
All right. Gut response. Just answer. You guys can answer at the exact same time. If you were told you're going to get a steak meal from one of two places, which one are you taking? Just gut reaction. Panther Dining or Waffle House?
Full House.
Because I gotta get hash browns on my side, and they're gonna be scattered and covered. So
I think it's the right answer. I love me a little steak and egg with some hash browns.
You gotta get the
at
hash
Waffle
browns.
House.
It's a different. So to me, it's a different steak experience, and they lean into it. Like a breakfast steak is thin cut, and you do the like little flash fry it basically, and you cook the hell out of it. Like you're not gonna get a medium rare. You're not gonna get a rare. You're gonna get medium well, probably, but it's thin, so it's pretty good. So like, but like Waffle House leans into it. I feel like Panther Dining might just like serve that as like they think that's what a steak is.
Also, I feel like with Waffle House, you're like, it's okay. I love myself like a good, awesome ass, really well cooked steak. Not well, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But Waffle House, you do a breakfast steak, it is perfectly acceptable to have A1 or Heinz 57 on it. It's
a different food.
But I feel like Panther Dining, I'm probably gonna still want Heinz 57 or A1 steak sauce on it. I'm probably gonna want that.
Just in case. Just in case,
Ryan, was there anything else from Dell's thing that he said that was of interest?
I mean, like I said earlier, the draft was interesting, I thought, and then the lack of depth on the defensive line. But again, I already really touched on that. We didn't really learn a whole lot else.
There was one. Sorry, Tim asked.
Do you think he knew why? Because he said, "I don't know why I'm here." Do you think they communicated to him to tell him, like, "Hey, we want you to come out and talk to the fans and tell them about your spring game"?
I personally think that somebody like the plan was that somebody was going to introduce him because your head coach doesn't generally come out
introduce himself,
start it. Yeah, exactly. And I think that the plan maybe at the last minute either changed or fell through somehow, and he just was like, "Fine, I'll go. I'll save this. I'll just kick this off. If we don't know what we're doing, like I'll just go do it." I'm making all of that up. I have no idea, but it felt very like, I don't know why I'm up here, but I know why I'm up here. Like to me, that
I think
there are people that could.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was athletics.
I think it was Del McGee making sure he takes every opportunity to let the administration or the fans know the administration has no clue what they're doing. So when I got there a little bit before Ryan did, and I was talking to Dave Cohen for a brief second.
Nice.
And I was like, hey, this is kind of interesting. You're doing, a press conference for both men's head coach and women's head coach at the same time. Like, how does that change what you do? And he was like, I'm getting up there and I'm saying, thank you for showing up. And Dr. President Brian Blake. And that's other than that. And then closing out the thing, Dave Cohen didn't talk at all. So it is weird that they did the thing with McGee, which is fine. But Dave couldn't get out there and do his whole thing. Hey, thanks, Ryan, for coming here. Before we get started with the basketball press conference,
like a brief word with
Del
McGee.
You know, we have the spring game happening this evening. We want to take a few minutes for Coach McGee to talk about the team this year and blah, 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 blah. Could have been very easy, but McGee just walks up like, I don't know why I'm here, but I guess I know I'm here. So he talked a little bit. There was one thing that he said that really stood out to me, talking about the way they prepared for this season versus last season or his previous season, was he said that they took too many players,
divas,
and that divas.
But did he say divas?
I don't remember. He didn't.
Where they were worried about what you promised them, and I was like, oh, I hear what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down, Mr. Finley.
But entitled,
titled. Yes.
Entitled was the word he used. And the thing that stood out to me the most, though, was they targeted a lot of JUCO or non P4 players, and he said, if they're not as talented, so be it, as long as they want to be here. And
don't hate it.
I'm so torn on that because part of me is like, yeah, I like that attitude, but the other half is like these players talking about if they're watching this, if they're listening to this, they're like, "Oh, you don't think I'm that talented? You recruited me, but you don't think me that I'm not." I don't know. It's just a
Well,
weird way to say things.
the thing is what he did was then he described a talent that they exceed at over these other, prima donna players, which is working as a team, which is something that he values. So like that is talent in and of itself. And yeah, he fell down a little bit. He should have just like embraced that and been like, no, we're not looking for people who are, have raw talent necessarily. We're raw physical talent. We're looking for people who have, raw physical talent, maybe a little less of that, but a lot more of the I can work with a team, I can do what the team needs to win. And to me, that's good. I'm in, but he just didn't word it that way, which sucks.
Yeah, if he would have said it doesn't matter how much raw talent you have, if you can't use that with a team, it doesn't matter at all. Like
Hmm.
something like that. Exactly. It could have been phrased better. I guess
Right.
that's it. Just it,
I
it
think
seemed weird to me on that.
I think it was clear to everybody last year that TJ Finley was more physically gifted than Cam Brown, right? We could see him play.
Sure.
He is bigger. He had a bigger arm. He could throw the hell out of the ball.
He's
He could get it
chicken when
way
it
up
came
the
to.
field. Now he couldn't quite aim it very well, but I don't think he was trying very hard to aim it very well. I think he just wanted to air it out, and then he figured Hurst would pull it down, which he does a lot. So, but like you see Cam Brown out there, and he definitely is not as talented physically, but he's definitely more talented in the scoring touchdowns, which is more important to me because he knows how the team works and he knows how to get the ball to his playmakers in a skilled way, So to me, he's more talented.
Yeah, he's more composed.
Hmm.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. It's weird though to think about these players, and I know we're talking about young men or whatever, but it, one of the things that McGee said specifically was they felt like they were too good to be at Georgia State, or they didn't want to be at Georgia State. I'm like, all right, guys, you guys entered the portal from somewhere, and no one else took you but Georgia State. You should be playing your damn lights out. If you don't think that you think you're too good to play at Georgia State, you should be playing your best ball you've ever had to show somebody that, so that you can get, because the way the world works, you can go right back in the portal at the end of next season. You can go somewhere
Wild.
else. But if you're going to play like absolute garbage or just not give it your all, then yeah, you're the reason. That's the reason why you were not in P4 right now. That's not why you're in a better G6 program right now. So get your shit together. I said shit a lot
Indeed.
tonight.
Yeah, I've said shit a lot tonight. I do
And
like
Jim,
what McGee said though. Maybe we had the wrong nucleus, the wrong chemistry on our team last year, and maybe the results are kind of like, well, you had a bunch of people that wanted things and got things, but then just didn't work hard.
Yeah.
I think again, no confirmation here from anyone at all. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I just feels like this is what
I
happened, but
just
like
work here, damn it.
it feels like Finley got promised playtime, and then
It's
when
terrible.
things went backwards, the coaches knew that they had to honor that promise, and they did. They followed through with it, which is respectable in a way. You never should have promised it in the first place. You should have said, "I promise, as long as you keep earning it, we'll keep playing you." That's the promise. But I do think there's something there. I don't think you just keep playing him. Like even your average fan is looking at that being like, the hell are we doing? What is
It
this?
got
So
it
like
got pretty bad. Yeah, I
yeah.
agree.
Yeah. It was not good. It was not good. Yeah. He did say that he likes, after everything was said and done, he said he likes the makeup of this team better than he did the team last year. And I mean,
I hope
you've
so.
got to say that. You've got to say that, right? I was, my daughter, my oldest, me got into it today. Get into it. We were talking, whatever. And I was trying to explain to her about how,
Let her
we
know
didn't
what for.
have phones and like technology with us every second. Sometimes you just sat there on a park bench and just looked at birds. And she was like, so you're telling me the 2020s are better than the 1900s? I'm like, yeah, and they better be. They're supposed to be.
Right.
Like, I don't want to live in the world where 100 years later is not as good.
Yeah.
All right. We've beaten this one to death.
Conferences though.
The press conferences. It was It was a lot of coach speak. It was interesting that once again, Dr. President Blake got up first and spoke to introduce. Well, he did introduce Cobb. He didn't introduce the coaches, but he definitely got up first. I don't know if that's that big of a deal and everything. It was a little awkward. I don't know. It's just weird having both men's and women's coaches being announced at the same time. I don't know if that takes away from Crimmins or if it takes away from Greer or what exactly, but it was kind of odd. It seemed like they were both kind of digging it though. So what the hell do I know? Ryan, what were your thoughts on? And Tim, you get to watch it, so you get to see it, everything, right?
I saw the whole thing, start to finish.
Yeah.
You're also
what were
more
your
into
thoughts?
basketball than I am. So
All right, so Tim, you go.
Okay, fine. I mean, my take on the speeches literally felt like someone wrote it for them in Copilot and they just read it verbatim. Like some of the phrasing between sentences was the same between the men's and women's. I'm like, tell Copilot this is for women's sports and to change the wording of my speech. Cause like if you probably played them back on top of each other, you would find sentences that were literally almost the same thing. I was just
Should we take the transcript and like put it through one of those AI tools?
You
to see, like,
should.
was this written by AI?
it's
mean,
funny because they're clearly not gifted at public speaking, but that's a different skill. Whatever.
Yeah,
As
I
long as they
mean,
can
look,
win.
he's a coach. If you're a good coach, I don't really care what you say at a podium. I mean, don't make a complete ass of yourself, but actually, some basketball coaches made asses of themselves and they were entertaining to watch at the podium. So, I
Good
mean,
publicity.
I liked everything they said. Both coaches, super coach speak, high powered, flashy offense,
Tempo.
up tempo, great. Play defense, score baskets, win games. That's all we want. I don't know. I'm more interested in who he recruits and who she recruits and like how that comes together in the fall. But I'm super excited for the fall already.
Oh, yeah, I definitely got a little excited about basketball listening to both of them speak. I think it'd be very interesting to see, definitely bringing a breath of fresh air with women's basketball for sure. I mean, she's been at the JUCO level coaching for, I think it was 14 years or something like that. It's crazy with success. She made Greer made a comment like flat out, D1 is JUCO college with the transfer portal. Like, which is, I think, Ryan, Ryan,
That's what I said last week.
You said last week. Yeah. So Ryan's in. So, basically the women's basketball coaches are just trying to appease Ryan. They buy him beer.
Ew.
They quote what he says. Yeah. She talked about, she's already been for the past 14 years having to deal with roster turnover year after year, being, brand new teams and putting them together. Not to play the whole like man woman card or whatever. I thought it was funny listening to Crimmins and Greer talk about the types of players they were going to recruit, the types of teams they were going to have, and it was the same kind of stuff. The up tempo, the office, the the player loyalty, blah, blah. And then she ends it with like and love, and I'm like, yeah, guys aren't going to talk about their team being like and love. It's just
I would, but I wouldn't be a very good coach.
oh, I'd be horrible.
I gotta say it. No matter how awkward it is, she's gorgeous. She's freaking beautiful. I mean, it's like she's stunning. Really,
So we have a pretty head coach.
Denver kept on leaning in and being like man, she's so pretty. I'm like, I know.
When I saw that she had been coaching for 14 years, like, did she start when she was 14? What the hell's going on here?
They both. Crimmins also looks like he's about 12 years old. I said, is he? Did they cast him for Dewey and Malcolm in the Middle?
Ooh,
He's
that's
40.
A good one.
He's 40.
40? Wow.
He's 40. Yeah.
He looks super young. So Ryan, are you gonna start? You're gonna flip your tickets. You're gonna go to women's basketball this year.
He's not good. I mean, I guess show up a little early.
He's gonna get seats like not courtside, but like right behind the players' bench where he can sit there and.
Hi. No,
she seems like
I'm not gonna be. I won't be a creep. Come on, man. I said words that were very respectful and less objectifying, right? She's gorgeous.
She's pretty. I mean, watching I thought he was younger than 40. I thought she was super pretty. I did find it really, really, really interesting. I think you both probably did. The amount of questions she got versus what Crimmins got. I was like, Crimmins is over there. You can ask him a question. Anyone. Men's
was
basketball questions. Anyone? No?
so one thing going. I already made a comment about being where they're doing it, the conferences, press conferences together. But going into it, I was kind of like, oh man, men's basketball gets so much more attention than women's basketball gets, and I really hope this isn't awkward for Coach Grayer. And then of course, first question was for Crimmins, and then it was like
Sure.
Grayer, Crimmins, Grayer. It was like I'm like, damn, now I'm starting to feel bad for Crimmins. Like he's gonna be like, why the hell did I come here? What's going on? It was a little weird. They had now, to be fair, in attendance by the press, there were several female reporters, and a lot of those questions were coming from the women. Now, not to say they all were. There were plenty of questions that came from the male press that were there, but there were several of them that were female. So I don't know if that much that plays into it. But you're right. I noticed that too, Tim.
Probably a little overcompensating. Same concern. Like, oh, I don't want to focus on the men's basketball coach because that's not very fair. And then they overcompensated, and everybody had something for her. Panther Talk was there
Thursday night. Panther Talk. Brady was there.
Nice.
There was. I didn't really recognize any of the other. I thought I saw somebody I knew, but it wasn't that person at all. But one thing that Cobb said about Coach Grayer that I thought was really wild coming from him was in doing the review, watching the game tape of her JUCO college, or that's kind of redundant, her JUCO team.
Mhm.
He's like, this team probably could have beaten us last year. And I'm like, all right.
Did he mean men's or women's?
I think he meant women's. Both? I think honestly, who knows, right? But I'm like, all right, cool. So that says a lot more about our program than it does about hers. And also, if you thought a Salt Lake City Community College JUCO basketball team could have beaten the Division I 52,000 enrolled university in Atlanta, Georgia last year, why did you not fire the head coach? They didn't fire Gene Hill. There was a mutual agreement. Like, if we're
Sometimes that
bad, I know, but if you're that bad, like, so when you do this mutual agreement, that's kind of all right, cool. You don't want to be here.
Equal break.
You know it's not working. We know it's not working. Let's just part ways. And Gene went on to get an associate head coach job at Miami. I think it was announced the same day as the press conference. Good for him, dude. Live it up.
That feels like a promotion.
Right. The pay is probably better, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
To say something about that, that's kind of like throwing it back in his face of, man, you were a horrible coach we had here that I let stay here for, what was it?
20 there forever.
2014? Was it that when do we move into Turner Field?
In 2017.
Okay, it was like the year after that.
16, 17, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it was like the year after that. Yeah. I don't know. I thought that was, I like the attempt at talking about how the quality of basketball was so good under our new coach, but I don't think you need to do it throwing your prior coach under the bus, especially one that you supposedly ended on good terms with. It's just classless, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's just say we had to part ways with our coaches. That, I mean, I guess the one thing that I think I texted both of you was like, where's the apology to the fans for how this has been? Like, this has been bad, like on both sides of the coin. And you could argue with McGee being 4-20, which I just looked that up, and I'm like, God damn, he's 4-20.
Mm-hmm.
This is make or break here for McGee. If this train doesn't turn around, I think he's gone. Like,
yeah.
Do you
this
think
is a hot seat year for me?
Do you think there's a chance that McGee's fired midseason?
I think it should be possible.
Depends on how the season goes. Yeah, I mean, if it's terrible, sure.
I think we have the FCS. Oh, actually, I have that right up right now.
You have the schedule up, David? What? Do you
something like the Finley thing happens again, where it's like gross mismanagement of your roster? Like to me, like last year, that was on the cusp of like a year early hot seat for me. And I know for many people, it was, hey, we're done with this guy. If he did something like that again this year, I'd be that would be a midseason drop to me.
So looking at the schedule, we have 5 games before our bye week. That's the FCS team at KSU, UCF, Northern Illinois, and then Old Dominion, those two at home. If we go 0-5, think there's a very good argument for letting McGee go right there at the beginning of it. If we're 1-4, having beaten the FCS team only, I think there's a very good argument.
I think he's
But
safe
if we're
with
2-3,
yeah, he's
if we're
fine.
2-3,
You
and
could
one
argue.
of those two is Kennesaw State, I think that right there is a breaking point where it's like, oh, we'll see how the season plays out.
What if it's one win? It is Kennesaw State.
That may be enough. I don't know. That's a weird one.
You could argue first game jitters, FCS loss. You could argue it. But if you beat Kennesaw,
It's their first game too, so they got the jitters too.
but we're Georgia State. We have jitters all the time.
Oh, but don't you remember what? Ryan? Don't you
No,
know what
we
it's supposed
should
to be
win.
like? Whenever we're playing another team, we have to say that it's their Super Bowl. That's what we were told.
Every
'Cause
team
whenever-
Super Bowl.
Because whenever we play a team that we beat, we're told that it was our Super Bowl, and that's the only reason why we won it. So that's how it works. That's how it works. I don't know.
Yeah, we have had
Was that
fans that have said that too, but it is a dumb thing to say.
Our Super Bowl is the Super Bowl.
Yeah, guys, Super Bowl's Super Bowl. If we were in the championship, that'd be our Super Bowl. I mean, that'd be our championship.
Exactly. All right. There's a few other things going on, but we're pressing up against an hour now. You guys want to take it to last call? We didn't do a last call last week.
I did another quick thing with the press release of the press conference. Sorry.
Let's do it. What you got?
We made the comment about the AI speeches and all that stuff, and I know you guys didn't think it was nearly as funny as I did, but very early on,
thank you, co-pilot.
Dr. President Blake mentioned all the coaches in the room and looked over and noted that Coach A.D. McGee had left, which makes sense, right? It's the spring game. He's got to probably figure out stuff with his staff. He's got to figure out stuff with his players. He's got to do all kinds of stuff because he's got to go
make sure concessions are going to be there.
So yeah, I mean, he had to go check the water, but he only had a chance to check the water on those front bathrooms. 2 bathrooms. So he didn't make it all the way, you know,
because he spent an entire hour doing a press conference.
That's right. But so to me, it was funny because Dr. President Blake knew that Coach A.D. he was not in the room. So such a mouthful we've created for ourselves. But so still he gets to the point in his speech where he's supposed to make a joke because he says something about basketball being one of the main sports or something. He looks over and
I did hear that. Yeah.
The forefront or of the university or something like that. Yeah.
He's like, football's still important. And he right, coach. And like, he's clearly like stutters a little bit on it, but like McGee's not in the room. He's not over there.
He's not taking the joke.
Plows ahead with it, and I'm like, you know what? The cameras don't know he's not there, I guess. But
I didn't know
he
wasn't
thought it was
there.
hilarious.
Yeah,
it just was funny to me that like he just did it anyway.
That is funny.
It was.
The AI said do it, so I'm doing it.
I mean, if it's the only thing you had planned, you got to go through with it. Otherwise, what are you going to say?
All right. Well, if you guys remind me, I'll take the transcript of the press conference and see if I can run it through one of the testers and see if it says it's what its rating is, and I'll let it know that it was a read statement, so that if there's any stutters or whatever, hey, this was not composed to be this way. This was somebody reading it, and we'll see how it works.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, yeah. So there's a lot of movement on both college football playoff changes, and then also
of the
exactly, and college basketball tournament changes with expansion of the teams there. I feel like those are things that are not super specific to Georgia State, so we can take those over to last call if you guys are good with that.
I'm good with it. Yeah.
Awesome. Tim, take us out of here.
Sure. Thanks everyone for listening. We're gonna head over to last call. I need another beer. Damn it, I'm drinking too fast. If you like what you heard or you didn't, join our Patreon at patreon.com/State of Atlanta. You'll get live stream access to last call, discounts on merch, group chat action, bevs at tailgates, and more. I don't know what the more ever is, but some of us know.
I know we don't.
Become a fan of the show for $5 a month. It's still $5? We still have $5? $5. That's all we need from you. $5 is all it takes.
Yes.
We'd love to have you aboard. Say goodbye, guys.
Goodbye, guys.
Peace. And I lost the cursor. Boom.